Namaste and welcome to my channel. Recently I did a program for a radio station on candle magic. Now it was I would say, Christian based candle magic program, and it was quite interesting because I had to really tone down what I believe candle magic is about. Now there are many books on candle magic. I mean, for example, I've had this for millennia, it seems. It's not. It's about at least 30 years. Now, if we look at this from a purely jinn magic perspective, as you know, there is enough evidence to promote that jinn are in fact elemental and they have colours. Well, what better way than to improve your focus on summoning by using the appropriate candle? Now, we can go into even greater depths where there are candles which associate with days of the week. For example, they follow the pattern of the planets. So Saturn Day is black, and all the other corresponding colours. However, let's look at this. So you want to, say, attract a jinn. So you burn a green candle. Now, you may want to contact a jinn king, and you really want to know what the planet is of that jinn king, the planet of influence. So you would burn the corresponding colour of the planet. Then, of course, you'd want to know what you want to come into your life. So if it was sort of like love or something of that nature, you would probably burn a pink candle. Now, you can support this even more by knowing the sigil of the jinn that you want to contact. So let's look at this from a magical viewpoint. You've got 3 colours of focus at the very least. You're probably going to end up with maybe 4 or 5 different colours of focus. You're going to have the sigil, and you're going to be open and ready to receive and ready to communicate, because you've been able to focus your mind. Because in reality, contacting any kind of entity requires the mind to be calm and clear. So when we have that state, it's much easier to contact the entity that you want to contact. Now, in the book of Candle Magic, this one in particular, it does mention days of the week, it mentions months and things like this, but they all skirt round what I would call the real issue. And the real issue is that regardless of what you think, if you are doing magic and the magic is successful, then one has to understand that you are dealing with an entity. You can call it what you like. You can say it's the Jesus entity. You can say it's the jinn. You can say it's my spirit guide. However, the evidence doesn't really support any of this. The one thing that it does support, even though I mentioned it, it is the jinn. The jinn go way back to sort of Persia. They go back to Mesopotamia. And we understand they are elemental creatures. But not only that, they are creatures that change identity and they change form. The main forms of this, we have, if we start with the more, if you like, more negative aspects of jinn worship, which is essentially the shaitan. The shaitan's colour is black and white, so a black and white candle would be appropriate, or a black or a white one. Now, interestingly, after that we've got the Majid or the Marid. They are blue. Then we have Ifrit, which is red. And then we have the Jan, which is green. Now, you have to understand how these creatures behave and what is their environment and what is their planetary influence before you can really start summoning. And I think you have to be honest with yourself that if you are summoning, then you are calling on an entity. And as I say to people, you can either have cats or pests. Now, the reason why I say that is that if you befriend an entity which will protect you, okay, you are beholden to that entity. However, the other entity will stop other lesser entities coming in. If you like, it's the cat and the pests, as above, so below. Now, I really don't believe when people say I tune into a cosmic force. I don't believe that at all. And the reason why I don't believe that at all is that I've had experience of a cosmic force, and the one thing that I got from it was that it's us on a localized level. It's not really that interested in. However, within the sort of like cosmos universe itself, then we go back to being the, if you like, the one pixel which blends into all the other pixels. So it's one, but it's everything, which was demonstrated very succinctly by the Mandelbrot theory. And you can see that happen if you look at the Mandelbrot beetle, which always forms. And he found that out by when they went into making maps, instead of getting the line, it just went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, and it just became endless. So, that's us, if you like. That's what we are. That's what our soul is. Our soul is one, but yet it's part of the entire universe. However, when people say, well, I use my mind and I contact with the universe and I make really amazing things happen, I don't believe that. I don't believe that because, as I said, I've had first experience of the universal entities, the universal entity, the universal God mind, and it's as far away from material gain or getting the girl that you want or the boy that you want as you could possibly hope for. So realistically, I think one has to understand that if you're doing any form of summoning, then you have to understand what you're summoning. Now, you can call it your spirit guide if you wish, where the followers of the jinn would probably say it was especially Muslim jinn worshippers or followers, they would say it was the Qarim. Yeah, okay. If one makes contact with an angel, it's very difficult to understand, is this the celestial angels that they talk about, or is this the more the Kadom angel, which is, if you like, an entity which comes through the worship of Muhammad. Well, technically, it's not really the worship of Muhammad. It's the repetition of dua and all the other verses, which then puts one into contact with a Kadom. The Kadam are known as supergority angels, and they literally thrive on the power which is written within the holy verses. It's not necessarily the Quran that they are appeased by. There are many other verses which act equally as strongly. Obviously, the Kadam is known as the guardian angel in English. People talk about understanding their guardian angel. Where once again we're on about purity. We're on about what is really happening, and what is really happening. The only thing we have to go on is what has been left to us, and what has been left to us through the myriad of time is creatures such as the jinn have been worshipped for over 10,000 years. However, when they drift into other societies, their name changes, their identity changes. However, it's the same energy. The way that I could sort of explain this, and it's a simple way to explain it, is alcohol. Now, generally speaking, most alcoholic drinks that you drink regularly on an evening, sociably, tend to be between 4 and 6%. Now, they're called many, many names. It doesn't matter what names it is. Some may taste slightly different, some may taste great, some may taste bad. However, the trick is the alcohol. It's the 4 to 6% alcohol. The gin, if you like. You can call whatever you want the drink to be, but what is changing your state, what is moving you into a higher level of consciousness, if you believe that, or moving your consciousness, is in fact the alcohol. It is not what you call it. Now, the alcohol comes from Arabic akul, which means low spirit, and as you may know, that through understanding jinn, you understand that anything that is hidden is classed as a jinn. That may be convenient, however, that's been like that for at least the last 10,000 years. So I would suggest, before one goes into sort of practical ritual, candle ritual magic, or whatever you go into, is to understand that you are contacting an entity. Now, you can do that in awareness or out of awareness, but essentially the more awareness you have, the more control you have. And that way you're much less likely to be manipulated. And I think the other thing as well is people make the random mistake of these entities, they worship them. Well, realistically, if you talk to experienced magicians and you talk to experienced spirit workers, you tend to work with them. There isn't this, if you like, this adoration. There is, if you like, an exchange of energies. For example, you may have to give a small amount of blood. You may have to do some kind of small sacrificial service to your entity. But the sad fact remains is that, like it or lump it, if it is hidden, then the chances are it is jinn or it is kadon. I hope this has been helpful, because realistically, true power is illumination. And on that, I will finish. Namaste.